Welcome everyone to episode 146 of EDH Commander Challenge. I'm your host, BT. Last week we witnessed the finals of the EDHCC Undisputed Championship Tournament and like one of the fastest wins in a 1v1 Commander game on YouTube this year. Greg won it all and is still your EDHCC champion. Hopefully we'll have our next tournament within the next few months. And the next one will have all new decks. Speaking of new decks, myself and Josh, who are up today, have wanted to make these decks we're playing for a very long time. So without any further ado, let's get to those opening hands. First, in this corner, with an opening hand of Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, Myriad Landscape, Glacial Fortress, Ponder, Resurrection, Izamaru Hound of Khanda, Heliod's Intervention, and his Azorius-style general Niambi Esteemed Speaker. He is yours truly, the host, BT. Next, in this corner, with an opening hand of a snow-covered mountain, Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, Lightning Greaves, Solemn Simulacrum, Faithless Looting, Siege Gang Commander, Harsh Mentor, and his mono-red general Subira Tulzidi Caravanner. This is Mr. Fetchland, Josh. I won the dice roll to start us off, so let's begin this MTG Lore mother versus daughter card fight. I play a tapped Myriad Landscape, while Josh plays a tapped Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. I play a tapped Temple of Enlightenment, keeping the scryed card on top, while Josh plays a snow-covered mountain and casts Harsh Mentor. I play Nykthos Shrine to Nyx and pass. Josh plays another snow-covered mountain and casts Lightning Greaves, which he equips to his mentor. Then he moves into combat and smacks me with it for 2 damage. As he passes, during his end step, I take 2 more damage off his mentor to sack my landscape to grab 2 planes from my deck into play tapped. I play Glacial Fortress and cast Izamaru Hound of Khanda, followed by Ponder. I check my top 3, I choose to leave them as is, then I draw a card and pass. Josh plays another Snow Mountain and casts the sad robot Solemn Simulacrum. He gets a basic land from his deck into play tapped and passes. During the end step, I flash in my general, Niambi. With her trigger, I bounce Izamaru back to my hand and gain 1 life. For my turn, I recast Izamaru and pass. Josh plays another Snow Mountain and casts Handweir Garrison. He tries to move the Greaves onto it, but in response, I cast Heliod's Intervention, where X is 2. And I pop both his artifacts. Josh does get to draw a card off his Solemn Dying. Then Josh casts his general, Subira, and passes. I play a tapped Irrigated Farmland and pass. For Josh's turn, he casts Siege Gang Commander, which also gets him 3 1/1 Goblin tokens. Then Josh moves into combat and uses Subira's effect to make Harsh Mentor unblockable. Then he hits me with it for 2 damage and passes. During his end step, I take 2 more damage from the Mentor to use my General's effect to discard Rhea Dawnbringer from my hand to draw 2 cards. For my turn, I cast Detention Sphere, and I exile Subira with it. Josh chooses to return to the command zone instead, and I pass. For Josh's turn, he simply recasts Subira. Then he once again uses her effect to make his mentor unblockable. He then moves into combat and hits me with it again for 2 more damage, before passing. During the end step, I once again take 2 more damage from his mentor's trigger, in exchange for using Niambi's effect to discard Kega the Tidestar from my hand to draw 2 cards. I play Ghost Quarter and cast Karn's Temporal Sundering to take an extra turn. I also bounce Subira back to Josh's hand. Then I pass and move to my extra turn. For said extra turn, I play Tranquil Cove tapped, gaining 1 life. Then I cast Loyal Retainers and sack them, immediately taking 2 damage from the Harsh Mentor to reanimate Rhea Dawnbringer from my graveyard to play. Next I use Nykthos for 6 white mana to help cast Alhammarret's Archive, before passing. During Josh's upkeep, I sack my Ghost Quarter to pop Valakut, and Josh gains under Snow Mountain while I take 2 damage from the Harsh Mentor. Josh recasts Subira from his hand, and then uses its ability to give a Goblin token, Mentor, and Siege Gang Commander unblockable this turn. He then moves into combat and smacks me with all 3 of them for a total of 5 damage, and passes. During my upkeep, Rhea's trigger allows me to reanimate Kega the Tidestar from my graveyard into play. Then I play an island, and I use Nykthos again for 6 white mana, and tap 3 blue to cast Gadwick the Wizened, where I put 3 of my white mana into the X. Normally I get to draw 3 cards here, but thanks to my archive, it's double that. Then I use my 3 floating mana with the 2 lands I have left to cast Elspeth Conquers Death. With its first saga, I exile Subira, to which Josh decides to return her to the command zone once more. Then I move into combat and attack Josh with Rhea for 4 damage. Then I pass, discarding down to 7 cards. Josh plays another Snow Mountain and casts Faithless Looting, drawing and discarding 2 cards. Then he casts Tilinali Summoner, followed by Hellrider. Then he moves into combat and waves with every creature except for the Summoner and Rider. The Garrison's trigger makes him 2 1/1 humans that also attack me, and Hellrider's trigger deals me 6 damage for the other 6 creatures that declared an attack. I have Gadwick block the Mentor, Kega block the Garrison, Niambi block Siege Gang, and Izumaru block a Goblin token. Then I take 4 damage from the humans and Goblin tokens that got through. Then Niambi, Harsh Mentor, Siege Gang, Garrison, and 1 Goblin token all die before Josh passes, and I choose to leave Niambi in the graveyard. During my upkeep, my Elspeth moves to Saga 2, making Josh's non-creature spells a bit more expensive. And my Rhea Dawnbringer's trigger reanimates Niambi from my graveyard to play. I use its ETB to bounce Kega to my hand, and thanks to my archive, I gain 12 life. I play a Plains, and I use Nykthos for 8 white mana to help cast Bruna the Fading Light. With her trigger, I reanimate my retainers from my graveyard. Next, I cast Sakashima the Imposter to clone Niambi. I use the copied Niambi's ETB effect to bounce Gadwick. Thanks to my archive, I gain 6 life. Finally, I cast Mangara of Corindor. Then I sack my retainers to reanimate Yorion Sky Nomad that I discarded from my hand last turn from my graveyard to play. With its ETB, I exile Detention Sphere, Elspeth Conquers Death, Niambi, and Sakashima. Then I moved into combat and attacked Josh with Rhea for 4 damage, and pass. During the end step, my exiled permanents return to play. The Detention Sphere, when it returns, exiles the Summoner. Elspeth, when it returns, goes to Saga 1 again and exiles the Hellrider. Sakashima becomes a clone of Bruna, and I decide not to bounce anything with Niambi and pass the turn. For Josh's turn, he flashes back Faithless Looting to draw and discard 2 cards once more, and passes. During my upkeep, my Elspeth moves to Saga 2, and with Rhea's trigger on the stack, I use Niambi's effect to discard Keiga, and thanks to my archive, I get to draw 4 cards. Then I reanimate my retainers with Rhea's effect. Josh remembers to exile the Hellrider to my Elspeth Saga 1 at this point. I then use Nykthos for an obscene amount of white mana to help cast Azor the Lawbringer. Its ETB stops Josh from playing instants and sorceries on his next turn. Then I cast and sack Burnished Heart to grab some basic lands from my deck into play tapped. Then I sack my retainers to reanimate Keiga. Then I move into combat and attack Josh with Rhea, Yorion, and Bruna in the air for a heavy 13 damage, before passing. Due to being locked out of playing instants and sorceries this turn, as well as being unable to block any creatures in the air, Josh decides to scoop it up, giving me the win to a great back and forth game. This game was a lot of fun for us. Josh's Subira deck is pretty sweet, although I think it would be better suited to being more Goblin Tribal. One card that was really powerful here was Hellrider. I wish that card was a Goblin. I think it would be a staple in Krenko decks too. A lot of cards deserve the MVP spot from my Niambi deck, and it was really hard to choose, but I'm going to have to go with Alhammarit's Archive. Josh got in a ton of damage with things like Hellrider and Harsh Mentor, and if it wasn't for the extra life gain and card draw this card gave me, I don't think I would have survived. Agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoy our content, consider becoming a patron. Give you access to some sweet bonuses while helping out the channel at the same time. Please continue to support us on our journey to 2,000 family members. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you're a fan of EDH gameplay and you like whether it be 1v1 or multiplayer and you want to be part of the ever-growing Commander Challenge family, just make sure you smash the subscribe button and notification bell down below. We do weekly videos. Don't forget as well to like, comment, share our videos, but most importantly, enjoy them. On behalf of all of our members here, I'm your host, BT. Feel free to check out all of the videos in the channel, join our game, it's now your turn. Cheers!